Right, I want your best stuff now. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Give me the gold.
Our country hasn't known more misfortune. Dear reader, I'm now relying on this copy being decent for an opening. Dear reader, blundering Biden just committed an unforgivable sin, and we are all about to pay for it if you don't protect your retirement now. The first steps in this treachery were taken on the 24th of February 2022, and at the time of his mistake, I warned that, quote, not only will these actions fail to work, but it will also boomerang to hurt us. It's a hell of a quote. I'm sad to say that I was right. The financial implications of Biden's treachery on Feb 24th, 2020 are rippling through our economy as we speak. Like in 2008, millions of Americans will lose more than 50% of their life savings. Some will lose everything. I don't want that for you or any of my readers. If you have any money in the bank or in the markets, see 3 steps you can take to put your financial affairs in order and avoid losing everything you've worked hard for. Best wishes and deepest love, because I know it comes from him, Mr. Jim James, the man with the golden gun, Rickards, economist, former advisor to the Pentagon and CIA.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
There we go. That is a lift note submitted to us. We're going to talk about it. Nick, there's an elephant in the room. No, that's not an elephant. It's Aaron Gensler. Hello to Aaron Gensler as well. That's how I'm going to introduce our guest. Nick was wondering how I would introduce Aaron, but we're going to get to who Aaron is and explore that. Well, first of all, Nick, your thoughts on the copy?
Well, first of all, I asked for gold and you delivered. I sometimes worry that, imagine somebody stumbled across the fix on the internet. They don't know what it is or what we do, and they just find a man in a basement talking about blundering Joe Biden. Like, they probably think that this is a very different show than us ripping copy apart and trying to put it back together again. So I enjoyed it. Also, read in the customary Fisherian style with lots of pauses, lots of getting lost before we get to the end of a sentence.
Hey, I can only work with the copy I've got. It's if you want to pay millions of pounds to get rhythm lessons in the copy, that's where we go next. But yeah.
So let's talk briefly about the copy. So this is a piece of copy for Jim Rickards. It's a piece of lift note copy, and it's not the first time we've reviewed copy for Jim Rickards, or even for this idea on the fix. It's something that we're getting lots and lots of copy in the inbox for. And I think we ought to review it through that lens. That is to say, this is a popular idea. People are writing about it a lot. It's what I would describe as a crowded trade as a copywriter. There's a ton of other people out there, both in-house and externally, trying to make this idea work. So we have to judge it through that lens. We can't just judge it as a piece of copy as if that isn't going on, because that's part of the challenge in writing a piece of copy like this. And Aaron, I guess we should let you say something at some point. That's a massive challenge, right? When you're writing a piece of copy that you know a ton of other people are writing about, whether it's this or whether it's AI or whatever it is, you can't always just go bring one, but you've got to bring some element of twist to it, or that would be my position anyway.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. This copy's coming up on 18 months old. I haven't worked on this project at all, but I know the people who have. I mean, they're friends of mine. I've seen all the iterations of traffic drivers that have gone to the various iterations of this promo. I think you're absolutely right. At this late stage, what are we going to do to bring a sense of uniqueness, a new sense of curiosity to get my click and get me into the current version of that idea? I would, again, I'm no disrespect to the person who submitted this, but I would call this a really good swing 12 months ago. That this piece of copy, Glenn, that you just read, Again, I completely agree. Like to motivate action, to get somebody to interact positively with that CTA today, we need to bring something new, something fresh, a unique angle that no one is talking about. I think it's in here. As Glenn read it, one thing jumped out to me. It could be in here. Let's put it that way. But yeah, this is a year-old idea to me.
So let's follow that point up. So we should take a couple of steps back and give you a chance to introduce yourself. I mean, you and I, we've been on the same writing teams and various different projects in the past. So we both work in financial copy. You've been a publisher, copy chief, done all sorts of different jobs, just as Glenn and I have. So, and in fact, we've both worked with lots of the people that work on this promotion and for this business. Mm-hmm. So we're both, in fact, all three of us have at various different points in our career. So we're all relatively close to the idea and the people behind the idea. So if you were the publisher or the copy chief and of this promotion and this product, and you got a lift like this, what would you want to see? You said it might have been a good swing 12 months ago. You receive it now and you're in the hot seat and you're trying to get new copy out into the marketplace. What would you be looking for?
Well, the thing that when Glenn was reading it, the thing that jumped off the page to me was the potential for 50% drawdowns a la 2008. Obviously, we've seen that. People rely on that quite often. We know that our prospects and our readers have very strong, difficult memories of 2007, 2008. But what if we brought this, like Biden's treachery, a thing that he did in the spring of 22, is beginning to draw dark and ominous parallels to the run up to 2008. Well, now we're building a sense of intrigue. There's a little bit more curiosity here. So if we can do it and the data supports it, and we can factually, we have that's in the current iteration of the copy. Jim stands behind that idea. Let's bring these 2008 parallels up all the way up to the subject line. Let's put it in the first line. Ominous warning signs on the horizon between now and election day. Joe Biden's, treachery could lead to 2008 style drawdowns, regardless of how well diversified or protected you think your portfolio is right now. Jim's urgent new warning reveals XYZ. Click here for all the details, right? Now, okay. And again, like that's not unseen. That's not a lift note that I've never seen before in this context, but that gives us that, to me, at least, that gives us a little bit of a new entry, a new angle that, potentially would play a little fresher.
I wonder, there might be an even deeper idea here. So this is what I like about lift note copy, because sometimes you can scratch away at the surface and then you find an idea, you think, actually, that would make a whole promotion. So like, what if we took as our starting point that every financial crisis there's a villain, there's a blunder behind every huge financial crisis. And we wound the clock back. So maybe George Bush did something in 2007, or maybe Ben Bernanke would be the better, Or we certainly look at Alan Greenspan before the 2000 crash, or maybe we could look at Bill Clinton. I don't know. This might not all go in a lift note, but this idea that there's always a villain, there's always someone who sets the chain reaction loose and causes problems, and that Biden has just fallen into this trap or whatever. If we explored that idea, I like that. The idea that there's always someone to blame. And this time round, the blame lies with one man and one decision. And it's this guy, it's Joe Biden, because of something he did on the 24th of February. To me, that might start to feel like a bit more emotional, because it's not just about a crash. It's about the person that causes the crash. And there's a clear enemy, right? If in doubt, like how can we really make the enemy, how can we enhance the emotion around that? We know that people don't like Biden, but blundering Biden we've seen before. So how can we make it? Or, sorry, one final thing. Has Biden been involved? He's been in politics for about 450 years. I don't know exactly how old Joe Biden is.
Pretty close.
He would have been around in 2008. So we could look back at stuff Biden said in 2007, 2008, and see if we can, work some sort of, history doesn't rhyme, but
traffic driving for macro themes has kind of always come down to three questions for me. What's the danger? What's the danger to me? Who's responsible? Like you just said, like what's behind this? And then what do I do about it to protect myself? And what do I do to protect myself is the CTA, right? So what's the danger? What's the context of the danger? Who's responsible? And then how do I get out of this? How do I protect myself? So like what did there's a mix between, who's the president, what's the behavior of the Fed, who has the political will or doesn't have the political will to do the right thing in the critical moment. We know they never do, right? That leads to the rolling cycle of crises we've seen over the last several decades, something like that. Yeah, no, that could be fantastic lift.
I just a little kind of, it might be too minutiae a point, but I think it probably speaks to, there's two things actually I want to discuss slightly wider about this approach and why people take this approach so much, but I'll just shelve that for now. But just this little thing about blundering Biden, and in this particular lift note, Biden's treachery. I know like the zeitgeist is blundering by like Sleepy Joe, all of that kind of stuff. We know that. We can lean into that. We can use that in copy. But then I think a lift note of any piece of copy, but certainly a lift note in quite a like tight little space, has to be inherently cogent and like follow the same narrative rules. And to go from blundering Biden to Biden who commits a treachery, and the language of treachery and something, which is kind of interesting if you played that and made it more engaging. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a missing logic, and I think a lot of writers make this sometimes where they take the cliche phrases, blundering Biden. So a blundering man is committing a treachery. That they don't ring true for me. And I think it kind of, it's a subconscious thing or an unconscious thing where it's like, I don't believe it because he's blundering Biden. So why is he committing a treachery and all this kind of stuff? It happens on a deeper level, but if he blundered his way into a mistake, fine. But would it be more interesting, dear reader, you might think he's mumbling around, like forgetting his ice cream and all that shit. But actually there's something much deeper going on. 12 years ago, he said this, he did that, and it's all part of the plan. Sure. It's stuff like that I always kind of jumps out at me, and I just think, I don't believe this. The world of this endo, this lift note, it doesn't quite fit right.
Common mistake of a junior copywriter: too cute by half and overwriting. Right. So upon review, if I was responsible for driving traffic to this promotion, exactly what you just said, Glenn, like that comes out immediately, and that goes back in the red line to the junior. I'm like, I get it. I see what you're trying to do, but please don't do it again, because we need to be sharper in how we put these lists together.
That goes to, what people's perceptions of the individual we're talking about are. So I'm going to grossly mischaracterize American politics now, but, to us in the UK, it's still just a so anyway. But like blundering Biden, I'll go with, right? Because he definitely has that sort of Weekend at Bernie's quality of like, there's nothing going on here. He's a super old guy. Yeah. He's famous for stealing an English politician's speech word for word, didn't even change anything. Like, I'll believe he'd blunder. Treachery requires a different level of capability, and I don't know whether or not I would believe that of him. So we would write about Biden in a different way than we might write about, say, Obama or Trump, because they have different emotional baggage. Obama, clearly smarter and more switched on than, say, Joe Biden, so that might become devious. Trump might be plays the fool in public, but is doing something smart in behind closed doors, or corrupt, depending on what our idea was. We've got to work with our readers' perception of those people and kind of either go with it or go completely against it, as Glenn suggested. Like, it's all an act. He's not a blunderer at all. It's all part of the plan.
I love this conversation. I love that you just said that. We saw those ideas, right? Like Obama's third term was his devious plan to, get around term limits, and, it wasn't him, but, anyhow, that was, when Hillary was going to be president next. And we saw the Trump's gift, Trump's revenge, Trump's this, Trump's that, right? Yeah, he might look oafish in public, but behind the scenes, he's a master deal maker, and he's set in motion something that you can take advantage of. Yeah, like play to the number one. I completely agree with everything you said, but like the smart copywriter is going to play to the dominant perception that's in the zeitgeist, that's in people's minds, but they're going to do it in a unique and fresh way that's going to get that click and drive that traffic. Yeah, no,
I think as well with this, on that, I've not seen, I've not kept up to date with Jim's kind of take on this. I can guess from what I know, but I feel like for a copywriter and who's looking at this, and if the writer's watching, the way you find that out, I'm pretty sure that a little bit more research into Jim's take, I can picture Jim saying Biden doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's an idiot. He's done this, and he's making this mistake. He's walking into these mistakes. So all of the tone and all of your clues and all of your copy will essentially come from that editor's voice. It will they will direct you. I think this has probably come from the promo through a million other lifts rather than going back to source. And I think if you're looking to like picture copy chief or publisher or whatever, I think the mistake is to do your copy based on what you're seeing in the inboxes.
Yeah.
You should actually go to the promo, and if not the promo, go to the editorial.
Yeah.
Nick, you said something recently. We advised people just to buy the subscription, and for some reason it just seemed like such a prosaic piece of advice, but actually it's a really deep thing. Of course, if you want to get a job, go and buy the thing. Like, that's how it works. But I think rather than going in the inbox, moving to the pro, but then going to the editorial, I think more people need to do that and follow that.
I've got an idea on that. Sorry, Arian, just to wrap up on Glenn's point. So if you don't want to buy the product, if that advice isn't getting through to you, here's how to interview a guru you've never met. And it's free, right? There's a website. It's called YouTube, okay? Go on the YouTube and find the last 5 interviews that guru gave. Jim Rickards is out there in the world. He's a very interesting man. He's a very smart man. He's highly respected, and therefore he's in the media. He's in the news. You do not have to have a private audience with him to find out his latest views on the markets or Joe Biden or whatever. Now, I'm going to bring this background to you as a publisher and copy chief in a second, Aaron, but if I'm a publisher and I see a piece of copy that's based on a recent interview Jim gave on, to some media outlet in Japan, I'm impressed by the level of detail or research or initiative that's gone into that, rather than something that looks like it's emerged out of a series of other lift notes. So there are ways around this. You have to use a little bit of initiative, but it's not that complicated. And then you can find something, and then you'll have something fresh.
Yep. I'm a big believer in buy the product. Spend $49, spend $79. Like, take that step. Show me that level of commitment, right? Now you have access to the portfolio. You have access to every piece of content that's ever been published inside that paid product, and dive in and show me something new. Dig up something that somebody hasn't written before. Second to that, Glenn, as you said, your inbox is a powerful tool as well. Get on seed lists. Thousands of words of free content are created in Jim's name and around Jim's ideas on a monthly basis, right? Read it. And then show me something I haven't seen before. And then, Nick, like you said, take another step. What's he saying on Twitter right now? What are the threads that are most important to him? What's he railing about right now? YouTube, any other interviews. He was on the Steve Bannon show recently, several times. Go watch all that, pull out a nugget that I haven't seen before, and use that to spin a fresh idea. Absolutely. Yeah. So for $79 and a little bit of digging and some effort, you can land on an idea that blows away all that copycat traffic driving pieces that we've been seeing for 6 months, 12 months.
It's funny you say.
Interesting. Sorry, Glenn. I'm going to end you word trying to say anything there. We've used this. You use the word unique and fresh, and you just use the word fresh again there, and then you sort of copycat copy. I think we should go in that direction and try and give some more general pointers here, because when I read this piece of copy, I said just before we came on air, this is competent. There's no particularly bad writing here. There's nothing, I wouldn't look at it and think I can't send this out. But if you're outside of the business and you're trying to break in, competence alone is not going to be enough. It might be bad to hear, but it's true. You have to marry competence with creativity. And you know what? The more creativity you have, the less competent you actually have to be, because we can coach competence a little bit. That's to be a basic level. But what we need to find the creative way in, the fresh way in. That's what's going to get you noticed when your copy lands on a copy chief's desk or a publisher's desk. They're not going to think, they might look at something and respect the writing, but if it's not got something new and unusual and unique and creative, they're not going to invite you to be part of their business, I don't think. So that's the skill that has to be developed. So if this particular writer is watching, I'd say, you don't need to learn to write any better, so to speak. Your writing style's good. It's nice. It's exactly the way it needs to be. You got to get this points to head for people listening. It's the thinking side. You got to go further, push that little bit more, find that angle that nobody else has found somewhere in the editorial, on YouTube, in a podcast, or whatever, and build something around that. That's what's going to get you noticed. And I mean, Aaron, you've worked with, I don't know how many copywriters you've worked with in your career, but that's the thing that sets people apart, right?
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, if you give a group of writers a prompt, let's say you have 6, 8, 10 writers in a row, you give them a prompt and you're like, this is what I need you to accomplish. Most of them are going to fall in a general range, right? And then there's always the one or the two that stand out, and maybe they're not perfect, but yeah, competence versus creativity, which you just said, I absolutely could not agree more. Just show, like, it doesn't have to be, the words don't have to be perfect. We can fix all that, right? But give me an approach to the idea. Give me an approach to achieving a click that I haven't seen in a while, because that's what's truly going to motivate people when it lands in their inbox.
Excellent use of the word fix, by the way. We actually paid our just drop the word fix in, make it seem natural. But I wonder if this is a good chance for us to kind of delve into your background a little bit more. So I've mentioned that we worked in the same businesses, but do you want to give us give us your origin story effectively, and let us know a little bit more about how you got to where you are in the industry today?
I joined Agora Financial as a junior copywriter in 2006. Worked my way up as a copywriter. I was a publisher, copy chief at Agora. I left for a while. I was a CMO at Malden Economics until recently. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be rejoining Paradigm Press, the new Agora Financial, in the beginning of May. So yeah, I've been a variety of financial publishers. I've done the cold email, freelancing, moonlighting stuff. I've written golf, copy. It's something that I'm passionate about. I've done that over the years. So yeah, no, I've been embedded in businesses, at what do you want to say, high level. Means something different to everybody. That's not call it what you want. But no, I've done too, I think what you guys talk to your audience about as well. Like, I'm passionate about this idea. I'm interested in this idea. Here's people who are putting these ideas out. I'm going to get in touch with them and see if I can do something for them, see if I can be a part of their business. And I took what I knew or thought I knew about copy and persuasion, and I use those techniques to give myself, moonlighting assignments too. So yeah, it's been,
I'm interested in the thing that very few people talk about in the copywriting world at the high level. It just seemed to me is the analogous relationship between high-level copywriting experience and an interest in golf. I know Mike Palmer's in there, you're in there. I think John Carlton, I seem to remember doing a famous headline around golf. What's going on? Can you speak to that? My granddad tried to show me how to play golf, but
I played golf with John one time in Las Vegas, and it was this is no bullshit. It was a highlight of my one-legged golfer is the package that you're referring to. It's one of my. I was just asked recently, which one of your favorite non-financial headline complexes? And it was a one-legged golfer. The guy's getting older. He's got all these problems. He's got knee problems. And through XYZ solution, he's now hitting the ball 250 yards directly down the middle of the fairway. He's having more fun than he's ever had before. I think it was one of John's more successful golf packages he ever. He wrote a lot of golf. So yeah, Mike's a big golfer. John's a golfer. Okay, so why golf? Golf. Well, if you're truly passionate about golf, golf never ends, and there's no shortage of solutions. Let's put it that way in golf: clubs, training aids, training programs, gadgets. You name it. So for a golf nut who also understands copy, it's just such an exciting space. And it's a lens I use too, because of the email lists that I'm on, YouTube channels that I watch. How do I get sold? because I spend so much money on golf, right? Every year, trips and equipment and everything else. Like I use golf copy that I experience as a lens to see like what's resonating with me. Then maybe how do I translate that into what I'm working on financial? I don't know if that answers your question exactly.
No, it does. It's brilliant. I feel like you've managed to turn a very banal question about golf and a golf conspiracy within the high level of the copywriting elite.
No, the cool part about golf is that every spring when all the new stuff comes out, it's like, oh, this is technology and we've never had this before. This is the most amazing thing ever. And then everybody buys it that year. And then the next spring it starts all over again because like the new technology comes out again, you know? So it's a never ending fire of just shoveling money toward, you know, golf improvement and like playing better and taking money from your buddies. Yeah, no.
There are some other, I mean, I don't play golf. Sorry, saying that over. There are some other similarities. So I think the audiences between golf and finance they're not identical, but you know, some of the opinions that we might be talking about in our copy wouldn't be out of place in a golf clubhouse.
Yep.
It's also the element of personality. Golf sells using personalities rather than brands more often than not, whether it's brand. So it might be a brand ambassador, like a player, but former players who then coach people, they'll build personal brands around themselves. It's very, very similar to finance. So I think, and it's also a thing where they tend to sell direct, right? I can coach you, I can help you. So it's relationship-based marketing to a very similar audience. So that doesn't explain why all those top copywriters play golf. Maybe they don't realize there's other sports they can play. It's probably that actually, if they knew about, you know, I don't, you know what, let's not get into them. It's like I'm talking about Scientology or something.
Yeah, right.
But there are similarities. Sometimes analyzing businesses across sectors like that, you spot more than you might initially think at first, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us what else. So did I hear you say you're rejoining Paradigm? So you'll be the other side of the fence. You'll be working with people like Jim and other gurus like that. Like, is that what you said?
Yes. As of May 1st, I was actually in their offices just the other day. On Wednesday of this week, I went in for the day. You know, saw some folks. I'm so happy to be rejoining them. A lot of, you know, folks that I've known for years and years and years. Yeah, no, it's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to get back.
So are you going back? So you have been working as CMO. I'm sorry, I don't know how much copy you write in a role like that. Like, how's your time spent these days? Writing, critiquing, developing products, developing offers. Like, tell us about a day in the life of somebody who's operating at that level.
I've done 3 original projects in the last year. I'd say it's 80-20. 80% is critiquing, molding idea, and then 20% is original copy that I've been writing myself. And, you know, it was great. It was a fantastic experience. I was happy for the opportunity. But my desire in talking to Matt and coming back to Paradigm was I wanted to flip that. I wanted to spend 80% of my time building my own ideas, being responsible for my own copy, and kind of take a step back from activities that do not directly result in conversion. Let's put it that way.
It's an unusual one, actually, isn't it? Especially for anybody involved. I mean, this is a relatively meta conversation, but anyone involved in the world of mentoring, coaching, you know, pontificating about copy, whatever you want to call what it is we do, there is a line beyond which if you do too much of that, and then the actual writing side goes down, you know, to a relatively small amount of your time, it takes the edge off your ability to mentor people. So it's this constant cycle you're on, which is you can't mentor people well unless you're writing, but of course you also can't write a lot if you're mentoring people. So you do end up on this cycle. You have to try and get that balance right. And it is a tough one, right? Like, I wouldn't want to mentor people if I wasn't writing, if I couldn't show them 10 examples of my own work from the last year or whatever and say, well, here's how I did it. Or here's, you know, why didn't you think about it like this? And reminding yourself of the failures. I always think that keeps you honest as well. If you're writing a lot, you're failing a lot, and you need to teach people about that too, because it's a big part of what we do.
I think you always learn as well. I don't know if this is your experience, Aaron, but like something I write next week, I know I will. The act of writing, the act of being someone who sits there and writes and has that active thinking. We started by looking out at this this lift note. The fact that next week you will write a lift note, or you will write this, you go, oh, right, okay, that's why I'm doing that, and you're constantly aware. So I feel like you need to constantly top up that that muscle, if you like, if we're going to go like the Altucher route. But like you need to be constantly topping that up, and that allows you to always or to maintain that passion in that kind of area.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, and Nick, you said something a second ago too, like keeping the failures close at hand as well, because I feel like in my mentoring experience, yeah, here's the things that I've done, here's the things that you may have seen, here's the hits that I can show you, right? That's great. Like that's an entry to credibility. But here's the things that I worked on for 2+ months, poured my heart and soul into, and it absolutely failed, and it was a disaster for me, and I was in the dip, and it almost broke my spirit, and I didn't know what came next. Showing that you have that commonality with the people who are trying to enter businesses, people who are trying to come up, I think that stands for a lot too, because anybody, I can come up with the 10 best things I ever wrote, and we could talk about that all day, but you're not going to learn anything about my resiliency, how seriously I take the work, unless I also include the stuff that I worked on that was a disaster. I think that's what people respond to.
There is also an element of this is several layers of meta, but the copy that goes out into the world that other copywriters love, often that's a bit of a kiss of death for the actual project itself. I've had 2 projects in the last 6 months that went out and got loads of great feedback from other copywriters. In fact, one of them I saw the day it launched, somebody published the lift note I'd written for it on LinkedIn with an analysis of why it was so great. And I saw it and I screenshotted it and I sent it to the copy chief and I said, this is the kiss of death. There's no way this is going to work. I know that's not true all the time, because once something really works, everyone knows it works. So then, but sometimes the things that copywriters love aren't the things that are actually working. It's a weird circle of like, you don't want the copy to be loved, but you want to be respected by your peers, of course. But if once they start telling you it's great on the internet, you think, oh God, this is almost the wrong audience. It's too clever or something. Somebody along the way has to be against it. They want further changes, or they're scared by it, or something like that. You need that somewhere, because if you have unanimous praise, we did something wrong. Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's talk about copy training and mentoring. So I know that you've been working on a project that is in that sort of area of the market. So tell us about that project and how people can learn more about it.
Yeah, my buddy Sean Twing and I, he was for many years Andre Chaperon's business partner. Andre, the part of that business is a tiny little business is now called Modern Marketing Systems. Sean runs that by himself. Sean and I actually met at a John Carlton event in 2019. We became fast friends. He worked with me, did some projects with us at Seven Figure Publishing. Glenn, you were doing projects with us at Seven Figure Publishing at the time. Sean did some consulting with us. Like I said, we're great friends. We get along great. We're a good complement. We each have like half a brain that works, and then when you put those 2 halves together, we have a complete brain that makes sense. We did 2 front-end offers together last year. One was called Offer Essentials Masterclass. The other was called Sales Page Essentials. Tons of great feedback. Folks were really happy with it. We did it live. We would do copy breakdowns, much the same as we did with this lift note here to begin this call. Anyhow, we have a project that's beginning next week. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 1 p.m. 3 free seminars, 3 free training sessions. It's called Full Funnel Formula. Essentially, it's building on the concepts that we began to investigate in Offer Essentials Masterclass and Sales Page Essentials. What decisions do you make when you sit down to a blank cursor, and how do I put something together for my business or my product or my project that's going to motivate customers? How do you make as smart as possible decisions all along the way? So yeah, we have the opt-in page is live, as we're speaking here today on Friday, and we get started on Tuesday. Yeah, we're looking forward to when it's the thing of it is too. we're doing them live. We want, we want a collaborative setting. We're telling folks like bring questions, roadblocks that you're facing. Every single session, every module that we're going to do is going to have ample Q&A time built in. We can't sit there for 7 hours, but if we're gonna make an honest to God effort in these live sessions to answer as many questions live in the room for everyone's benefit as we possibly can. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be a fun week next week.
So just put a couple of dates around that in case people are listening to this or watching this down the road. So that's Tuesday, the 23rd of April, Wednesday, the 24th, Thursday, the 25th, right? So can I come along to any one of those? Do I need to be signed up beforehand? Or if I'm only listening to this on Wednesday, can I come along?
Yeah, we're going to do the plan as of right now is we're going to after each session, we're going to pull the recordings. We're going to do like an executive summary. So there'll be a transcript, a recording, and an executive summary that'll come out. And you can jump in on Wednesday if you want to. You'll be able to get the materials that we cover on Tuesday, et cetera, as the 3 days proceed. So yeah, if you hit the link and sign up, we'll take care of you over those 3 days.
So we will, depending on where you're listening to this or watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, just check underneath the video. There'll be a link to access those free webinars. Same thing goes on Patreon. Let's just give the URL out just right here now, in case people are listening to this on Spotify or whatever it might be. So where do people need to go if they want to sign up for the free webinar?
Full funnel formula.co.
Cool. So we will put a link to that everywhere we can. We'll also whack a link in the original email that we broadcast this episode with. So you should be able to find it. But the internet is such a goddamn fragmented place these days. I don't know where anyone actually listens to or watches The Fix. I was watching on YouTube, and then Glenn's like, no, we got loads of people on Patreon. And I'm like, no, it's too many things. It's too many things.
We're going to try and get back to Parchment. We're going to publish all of our work in Parchment that will be recorded in the British Library. I went to the British Library the other day for the first time in my life, and it was very nice. So I'm thinking we're just going to stream all of our stuff towards that in future. But yeah, no, we'll post the links. It will be in every avenue. I was going to say orifice, but that's just not the right word to use.
Can I make a suggestion? Go to those webinars and post as many questions as you can. If you're there live and you can ask for feedback or ask questions, or ask for clarification or whatever it might be, use that option. You would be astonished. Again, we were talking just off air before we came on by how many copywriters are passive in the face of, the opportunity to get feedback or instruction or clarification or whatever is on offer. We were saying the number of junior copywriters that don't bring copy to review all that often. And you think, what are you doing all day? You only have to write copy. This should be it. You should be jonesing, chomping at the bit to interact with other writers. So I would, whenever that is on offer for people, I think, take that chance. That's how we learn, with a bit of back and forth and a bit of interaction. So that would be my suggestion. I might well have just set you up for a 7-hour webinar now.
No, that's okay. No, I appreciate that. I
want to ask Nick, what jonesing, where does that come from as a verb, to jones?
Well, I believe it's a drug reference, but it's
really?
I think if you were like desperate for a fix, not the mention of a fix, you would be jonesing. But we used it in our office where if somebody was waiting outside of a toilet cubicle.
I knew you was going to say I knew it was going to be toilet. I knew it was going to be base.
We would say they're jonesing.
The Rubicon has once more been passed, and we know it is the end of an episode.
Yeah, fair enough. There's nowhere left to go, really.
There's nowhere left to go. My banal question of whether Sean plays golf as well is left to the wasteland. Also, I want to get to the point in the Fix show where we get so meta that at one point Jim Rickards appears at the window behind you, Nick. That's when we know we can finish, that we are done, close the doors, everybody's done, it's finished.
Can I just say, I actually think we should get somebody like Jim on the show and get a completely different perspective on what good copy is and means and what they want to see. Now, Jim is not a copywriting expert. He's an expert in a million other things, and he would work with a copywriter to translate that. But it's really interesting to get the take from the other side of the desk, so to speak. So I would watch this space there. I think we could, I don't know, I'll have to wrangle him one day, but we could do that.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Years ago, a technique that I used, an editor would come to town. We'd have an editorial meeting. They'd kick his ideas around. People, writers and marketers would ask a bunch of questions. If I could, while the editor was in town, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go get lunch? And then I'd get him in a one-on-one setting, and I'd talk to him about everything under the sun that I could think of, except the product, except the job, except the ideas. Like, why are you doing this? What's important to you? Tell me a little bit more about your background. Oh, you worked XYZ. You worked here for a number of years, right? Like that, learning that from an editor, from an editor's own mouth gives you, like we were talking about earlier, it gives you that avenue to uniqueness and a new sense of curiosity that other writers aren't doing. And if you get a chance where you can hear from like if you had Jim on here and you talk to him for 30 minutes, he's going to go places and bring things up that he's never written before, right? And a junior copywriter out, oh my God, and that sends them in a direction. They go do research. Yeah. You get those opportunities. You can do so much with your inbox, with YouTube, like we talked about. But yeah, when you get those golden opportunities to actually speak to them and see what's inside their head, take it as far as you can. Go as far as you can.
Flash forward to the episode with Jim Rickards where he's just jonesing for the toilet all the way through. Right. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Aaron, thank you for your time, man.
The problem is, if we ever do it, you'll say that to him at the start of the episode. So we have to cleanse the palate.
I have a great testimonial from Jim about my brilliance as a human, which is good. But I can't remember what he said, but he said something nice about me. But we'll open the show with that.
Right. Let's wrap this up because we're starting to drift into tangent land. Aaron, mate, cheers for your time. It's been pretty fun, actually. I love getting stuck into the copy with people from the world that we, live and work in every day. But so,
from the golf copy elite is what you're trying to say, Nick. The golf round table of pure copy. No, thank you very much, Aaron. We'll share those links and check it out and take advantage of all the insight you can get from them, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
If you enjoy The Fix and want to get access to even more good stuff, join the Fix Accelerator today. Get access to special masterclasses from Nick and me, watch expert interviews with industry legends, join live copy feedback sessions every week, and get connected to our very own private copy network. Visit thefixaccelerator.com for more information.